Hello. We are the Keshe Foundation. Our mission is to bring peace on Earth and join humanity with the universal community. We wish and work to bring man as equal to all beings in the universe. By teaching plasma science and technology equally to everyone, no one is left out and no one is abused due to lack of knowledge. By donating to us, you can help achieve this goal. keshefoundation.org/donate.
Plasma products found at keshefoundation.org/store. Soothing, reusable plasma eye and migraine mask. Eliminate eye fatigue and relieve stress in eye area. European certified medical device. Massaging plasma insoles. Bring comfort back to your feet and energize your legs. European CE certified medical device. Antiseptic plasma liquid hand soap. Promotes well-being and relaxation with protective plasma formula. CE certified. One Soul Plasma T-shirt. GAN's formula within the symbols and stripes brings mind, soul, and body into balance. European certified. Pain Relief Pen. Emits a concentrated plasma field at point of pain, efficient up to 3 centimeters below the skin. CE certified. The Magrav's Energizer and Alkalizer raises pH and energizes water through magnetic and gravitational fields. CE certified medical device. Pain Relief Pad, a result of years of research in nanoplasma technology with magnetic and gravitational fields. CE certified medical device. Visit the online store at keshefoundation.org/store or find a distributor near you. Tax and shipping not included.
Well, welcome everyone to the 241st Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, September 13th, 2018. This is a production of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute, and it's public teaching in English. And I'm your host, Rick Cramen, today, as I have been for the last 240 Knowledge Seekers Workshops. And we have Mr. Keshe of the Keshe Foundation, as usual in these Knowledge Seekers Workshops, and I think he's ready to begin today's teaching. Mr. Keshe, are you there?
Yes, good morning, good day to you. Whenever you listen to these series of knowledge seekers, we have become part of the calendar of Keshe Foundation work on every week basis. And I was saying to someone, I can never escape a week of holiday because somewhere I have to turn up for one of the teachings. It is nice to share knowledge. It is nice to be able to share knowledge unconditionally, not expecting anything as reward or but sharing that one day somebody somewhere might benefit by it, might do something good with it, might change something for itself or for the others. But what is interesting is that what has been the evolution of the knowledge in the past 5 years? What what have we shared in the past 5 years with each other? We are literally running into 5 years, 241 weeks. Um, 260 weeks goes into 5 years. We are there, but what has knowledge brought us? What changes has brought sharing knowledge this way? Unconditional, freely, and many of us have realized one point, and many governments are realizing one point, that no one anywhere at this moment of time can patent anything to do with the GANs and with the new plasma technology or with the nanotechnology the way we have produced it, because it's got a precedence. We have already shown it, it's been public, and interesting enough, this has to become the part of the work of the patent, part of the work of submitting patents that shows who had the insight, but being open that everybody can use. I was discussing this with Caroline this afternoon. She's very temperamental about it, and she shouts and howls that this is what we done, why can't the others do it, and it should be the same way for everyone. But at the moment, not everyone has matured into understanding of sharing knowledge has a beauty of itself. We still see patents being submitted, we still see people, even around the Keshe Foundation, we have one, the Chinese guy who's put 6, 7 patents of Keshe Foundation into Chinese Keshe Foundation, into Chinese patent office, which is a theft. And is helped by another Chinese Keshe Foundation knowledge seekers to put these patents in. And they got approval for it. Now we made a claim as a theft. So we still see misconduct by those who think the others are stupid and the governments don't know. But now that the Keshe Foundation is merging out of what they call obscurity, and a lot of people are getting to know about it, Patent Office will not accept any patent on this basis. Because the knowledge is freely done, and is for the person who puts a patent to go and show nobody has shown this. Not I'm putting something in that nobody knows. This one guy, we think, has put 6 patents application, and he's been challenged now. We take the case to the legal side of it, most probably to the police in China, and the rest of it that is received by deception, stealing, and we'll see what the consequences are. But as we are aware, we have set many precedences for our work. We used the patent system as it should be to announce the discovery and knowledge, but we opened it that everybody can use it. And in turn, a lot of people fear that I've made this, I have to have something for it, will come to understand if you openly share it and don't put it into patents to hide it and everything else, then you'll benefit by it more, because more people use it, and then it's upon the people to make their contribution towards your development or knowledge. If God would have made patents, God knows none of us would have been here, because none of us will be able to complete his patents. So one of the new ways that Keshe Foundation is breaking ground again, as you have seen last week, the head of the Keshe Foundation showed us the 3rd edition of the plasma, Keshe Plasma journal, where now we have one person full time will edit and put all your applications for new ways you've done. You found a new way to create heat. You found another way to get rid of the pain in your on the skin, or with your cat, or you found a way to grow plants. You come to the foundation. We put you to this person, and they write a scientific paper for you. You edit it. They tell you what to do. We have now a full-time scientist with a PhD from University in England, who he's come in, he starts from 1st of September, this week, last week, just to make sure that the patents, the what you call the scientific papers, will be presented directly and correctly without peer review. Which means he can tell you maybe this word is wrong, maybe this is better to put it this way, but the true uncontrolled, without peer reviewing knowledge is all upon us. And we are expanding it. This side will be expanded. So what it means, if you're a housewife, now you can publish a paper. You found a way how to get your child to sleep the right time and no pain, or you found a way that you warm the house up with less electricity bill or whatever, because I believe in women's intelligence in some cases is more than men, because they run the economy, they find a way in running the economy of the house, how to do the things the economical way and the best way and the cheapest way that they can have a spare cash. To me, women are more inventors than men, because they are there to do it. But us men have pretended to know more, and we only we show our what I call scientific data, which most of them are irrelevant totally to our lives. On the other hand, the expansion to this journal is that we open a section into it that do what I did. The first part of this journal in the next couple of weeks, I'm sure the team in the background will do it, will release the 2 patterns of the Keshe Foundation, 3 patterns of the Keshe Foundation, which are released originally. Even though they're in European patent, it will be released on this. So you can submit your inventions to be released freely to public, what you produce, even if you are Keshe Foundation research centers, as a publication of what we call free patent. Which means we publish the paper that nobody can reproduce it anywhere else, without deciding on if it's patentable or not. Because most of the patent business is stealing business. If, as I explained to you how the Belgium last week steal patents in their offices, and how then they kill for it. This way we open your patents. So you can submit, we set up a what we call a form that you submit, the same as the European patent, the world patent, or what we call, as we are one nation, we don't have national patent. You fill in the form as Keshe Foundation patent. You fill in the form, a patent in your own name will be released every week, whatever we receive every month on the pages, which means nobody needs to tell you your invention is wrong or right, but you share it freely. We've seen many of you come and show the windmill, when you show, come and show this is how you create something, and we put on it. If anybody sees that they benefit by it, they want to contribute towards you, they know where to put, where to contact you, and maybe share their knowledge with you to extend to put another patent in. So Keshe Foundation patents becomes free patents. This is a
Hello, Mr. Keshe.
step forward. Yes, can you hear me?
It just skipped there a sentence. I think it was complete, but there
Yes.
was a gap.
Yes, no problem. So in a way, we open and we add to Keshe Foundation structure free open space patents. You fill in a pattern the same as the European pattern. The team of the Keshe Foundation will put this together for you next couple of weeks, and then you can say I've submitted pattern. You see, there is something which a lot of people don't understand. They control the mind of the man with peer review in journals, and then they control the same way. If you look at it, the present patent system is a peer reviewing. Somebody decides in there, I don't think this works, and then I drag it enough, I take the technology to somebody else, and then we repatent it, as we've seen with the red circle, and then we bring it up for ourselves. A patent should be as free as what we release as scientific paper. There is no one there to decide who does what, and if they see it right. I don't know if some of you know about a Viper patent. The the window wipers of the cars, the guy who came up with it, he fought for 20 years to get it. All the car companies used it. By the time he was given the patent, it was past his time. He could not earn anything from it. And this is the problem with the patent. Patent is another peer review controlled by governments, and they steal it and get killed for it. When it's published the way we are doing it from now on, is on the table. You cannot be killed for it because you shared it already, freely available. We've seen these murders of the scientists because of their patents and the money it brings, many, many ways. And one of them, as we know, is Mr. Slot, the founder, the man who actually invented the compression technology. All the internet, fastest speed internet compression technology is based on his work, and nobody knows the man. Because he submitted patent, and before he could commercialize, the day before, he was poisoned and killed. The interview with this, the son of the man, because he was present when what they call it, apparently with what is published, is called the cold soup murder, is published on Facts About Derek. Go there and read it. And you will see how, again, like the cube, the patent of the son of Mr. Slaughter speaks about it himself, what happened, and you understand the most advanced technology known in the computer world, what we call compression, done by the man, 20 years work, and his family and children live on absolute poverty line because he was stolen, then submitted to Belgian Patent Office by Mr. Red Circle. You can check it, and his cronies. This is how they do. I feel sorry for Mr. Slot, but this is the reality. He was there when the poison was given to him. Apparently by this report, when you read it, it's shocking. And now we hear that other scientists who've been killed the same way. We are creating a pattern that the international police and Den Haag would start looking at the pattern of murder, because nobody ever put a pattern to it. Now it's got a pattern. All involves Belgians, all involves soup, or being car accident, being pulled and shot in the head and the body was never done. This is what the guy who gave me the poison told me. He says we kill two ways: poison, or we pull a car accident, you're dead, or if we make sure with a bullet in the head that there is nothing left. So I learned from John, one of our knowledge seekers. So with this way, we stop all these murders. You publish your papers, and if you're after financial benefit, you put in there, anybody uses it, I like to be benefited by it. It's very much what I've done. I opened my patents. All of you use it, governments use it. I met a woman very recently who works for Ericsson Batteries Company, am I correct? And she has read and worked on my patents for Ericsson for nearly 10 years. She's the head of the research of Ericsson. And now she's serving the foundation in the most beautiful way, because they know the technology. If they want to use your technology, you will never know. But if you share it the way we done, everybody gets benefited by it. We negotiated with Nokia. We negotiated through Nokia Ericsson, but we didn't know they're doing research in the background on the patents, and they've done some work, they've used it, whatever they've done with it. So with the new addition to the Keshe Foundation journal is the patent sections, what we call Keshe Foundation patent, which means belongs to you and is published. There is no peer review. As I said, patent is another peer review to block. I remember when I submitted my patents to the European patent, when we submitted for the second patent, we went there, they told me directly, do not submit any more patent into Belgium, bring everything here, because they steal it there. So I'm sure Belgium is not the only nation, the other governments will do the same. What is sensitive, they want to control to become nationalized. The beauty of building one nation, one planet, Every nation now steals for their nation. Becoming one nation, we can't steal from each other because we are one. So please start, even if the simple things you want to patent it, and you think you want to publish it anyway, put it in the form of patent. And this gives another strength to Keshe Foundation, that wherever whoever might want to release patents or something that they invented will be done without anybody saying it works or it doesn't work. This is important for all of us, that we follow this procedure, that we understand. It takes time. It won't be tomorrow morning that a lot of people will submit. But in general, if we use this new system now that we start putting people on the journal, we just check that it's in order, it'll be published. There is nobody to give you a patent right. The minute we receive it, it becomes your right. This is the what we call right to be able to share. And in a way, if you're expecting something from it, you put on it, I worked for these 20 years. If you use my patent, I would like to have benefit by it, and not to be killed like Mr. Slot. I'm talking to you, you're looking at the pictures on the screen. These are all invention of Mr. Slot. He brought this technology up. And the day before you could even get benefit by it, he was killed. Again, poison, heart attack, the same pattern. The same pattern that they poisoned me, what I read in his speech, and the same as Mr. Meyer with 2 Belgians on the table, who invented the water. The same as the same Mr. Fohm, who submitted a cube and again died of heart problems. And strange enough, last week I opened my discussion in 2 ways. Last week we told you we received €5 donation. This week you've been kind to the foundation. We have received 8 donations and around about €100. Thank you very much for donating to the foundation. It pays for somebody's work somewhere. We need more. Our running costs runs about $1/3 a month. I supported it. I'm sure the Keshe Foundation in different ways does it, but as one nation, if we want these freedoms, we have to pay for it to be able to change it. It will not come freely. I have paid for it for 13 years. I will do with my life for another 13 years. But it's time for us to work to bring the change. It's for us to make that change. And this change will not come easily. There are those who have interest in it and will happen. I received some thanks for the presentation of the case of the coma patient last week. That it was there and it showed. I would like to open another case and you see the relevance to it. I don't go in asking people to be volunteers because this has 1 man in it and 2 men in it. The man, again, is on the case, you can read it. He's in his 60s now. When I met him in 2011, sorry, around about 2010, the man was home for 15 years, could not work. He suffers from what is known as FMS and CFS, which is fibromyalgia and conjunctivitis syndrome. When I met him, somebody brought him to one of my presentations. As many of you know, I used to give 1 or 2 presentations a week sometimes around Belgium, Holland, in Germany, when we used to live in Belgium. So somebody brought him to the presentation and he came to me in one of the presentations, Mr. Keshe, I've been home for 15 years. For me to get up in the morning to brush my tooth takes about half an hour, and this is more or less what I can do, no more. And my whole day is gone. So I prefer even not to brush my tooth sometimes, because then I have energy to do something. And I cannot do anything. I lost my job because of this. I cannot do anything. I'm home. I said to him, maybe I can help you. He said, I'll pay you anything if your technology can help. I said, I charge €1,500 to build systems and spend time, my time, to see you through. And we signed an agreement with him. It's a signed document. And he paid when I delivered the systems to him. And he called me about 3 days later. He said, Mr. Keshe, I'm moving. My life has changed in 3 days of drinking water. Can I invite somebody, 2 or 3 of my friends who've been suffering like me and they had no life, to come and sit and listen, and if you can help them? I said, no problem. He says, can you come on a Friday at 7 o'clock? I said, no problem. This Friday I'm free. I'll come at 7 o'clock. I went to his house in Belgium, near Brussels. And there were 2 or 3 people there. And they knew him for years. He couldn't do anything. Now he was active. I gave a lecture to the 3 of them. I explained the technology to them. He called me the next couple of days after that and says, do you mind if I invite more people to come and listen to you? Maybe they learn something. I said, yes, of course. Why not? I'll come next Friday, 7 o'clock again. And I went there next Friday. This was about 10 or 15 people in the room. And then this became the next Friday and the next Friday. The room could take not more than 20 to 25 people. And people who are Belgians in Holland and Germany, they know they used to drive to be in that meeting. They had to book a time to listen. And in that process, in June, I fell off a horse, I broke my ribs, I missed one teaching because I was supposed to be dead. But 2 weeks after falling off a horse, breaking 10 ribs, punctured lungs and everything, and using my technology, I was talking to them for about 5 hours, 14 days after falling off a horse. I think Belgian police forgot to take me to court for using my own technology, saving my life. It's strange enough, when I was in the hospital, they brought me out of coma because I was put in enforced coma. And Mr. Delano says, Mr. Keshe, we got you. Doesn't matter where you die. And this stayed with me. How come the police officer calls a man sick in bed telling me he got me? Happy that I fell off the horse. But they haven't taken me to court for using my own technology. In any case, I missed 1 week teaching with this gentleman. And this became regular meeting. The richest of the rich in Belgium, and those who were after science, those of who were influential, came to these meetings. We stayed till 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning sometimes. Some of them came with the conditions and they asked, can you help? In this process, this gentleman became literally my secretary because he could not work 15 years, was in the house. Now he was working 18 hours a day and he had work. Everybody knew him. His condition was well known in Belgium. So we helped a man who was in bed for 15 years on what we call social security and burden of the nation, to a man who starts serving his nation. Many of you who are in Belgium know him. His name is Willy. He's on the court case as one of the people who are defrauded. And interesting enough, he was told that if he gives evidence to the court, he'll be put in prison by Mr. Delanois. His evidence has been raised from the court. He is a victim, defrauded. And in an interview he gave, by request of Mr. Delanois, he was told that he'll put into prison for assisting me. And he never had any heart condition. After having the interview with Mr. Delanois, he has developed a heart condition. So Mr. Delanois has poisoned to kill him. This is another evidence we submit to the court. But interesting enough, in these meetings, we came across many nice people who wanted the technology to stay in Belgium. And fruit of these meetings, helping a man to come out of 15 years in bed, was Keshe Foundation Center, because one of the people who came to the teachings on Friday night, he came 3, 4 times with his wife, and many of you are in Belgium know him, a beautiful soul. He gave us a room to be able to search and see people. Then he gave us the teaching center of the Keshe Foundation. So what is interesting is on the case. In the case, a man who we helped to move after 15 years, and he is the help to the foundation, and as most of you, you know about the foundations through him, now has become defrauded. And his evidence has not been allowed to be entered. And he's been told if he does, he'll be put in prison by Mr. Delannoy. He has given his sworn affidavit to the court, has never been passed on to the judge. This is a justice the Belgian way. So now you hear the second case of how we defrauded a man, bring him to life after 15 years, being in bed and in the house, not being able to even do anything, to be a man who served the foundation for 18 years. And now he's a victim. And he's got a heart condition, the same as Mr. Slot, the same as Caroline and me, the same as Mr. Meyer, and the same as many other people, to be killed. This is another case against Keshe Foundation. Those who served Foundation now has become the victims of Mr. Delannoy and the King of Belgium. So now we see exactly how the case has been a fraud case. And interesting enough, Red Circle has given talk in that center that look how his hands work, and he's put it everywhere, and we have copies of it. Defrauding the court. The man who his name appears in most of the pattern murders bears and connects somehow to Red Circle. Cannot be coincidental. Form, Slot, my case, and we can connect him to Meyer's case too. And we have evidence we can connect Mr. Red Circle to the death of Fabio, because that's his pattern of work. Our security team and research team have a full evidence. We'll submit this, that he appears in every case. He writes the patterns of Mr. Slot in his name, even though he worked with another guy in the night. He escaped back to Brussels to submit his own version. Read it, it's all on the internet. He takes the pattern as he used to work in the patent office, makes the cube, he has no pattern on it, and then the guy meets with him and gets poisoned by the soup. He accidentally, which we never revealed, now we reveal to you, nobody knew that I was sick badly by poison. Mr. Red Circle calls one of the Keshe Foundation supporters, the doctor, and says, I think Mr. Keshe has been poisoned by arsenic. And she says, what? She says, I know how to treat it. I take action. She drove all the way from Bulgaria to Italy to administer anti-poison, saving my life, at the same time administering the same with Caroline. How did a man in Belgium who had no contact for us with weeks and months knew that I was poisoned by arsenic? And call somebody, fear that they might lose something or they haven't got the full patent. And this we have as evidence. How come somebody who has no contact with us knows how I've been poisoned and calls one of the Keshe Foundation supporters, Dr. Elia Kostova, to go? He must have been poisoned by arsenic, and she knew what to do. As a competent medical doctor and familiar with the poisoning, she administered antidotes. She knew what to do. I'm here in many ways thanks to the structure of the Keshe Foundation, how worldwide we work freely. But now we release names, evidence, and these will be as evidence to the European Court of Justice. How I have defrauded somebody who has served the foundation by defrauded out of 1,500 for the machine and systems. He signed a contract. And interesting enough, how they have turned the table against the foundation. Governments are turning against the Belgian system, and patent system has to stop. Next week I reveal to you writings and confirmation from other victims who are supposed to be defrauded, and the case has been built on. Interesting enough, one of them is somebody who's dead and comes alive, and that's supposed to be the biggest case for them. What Mr. Delano forgot to tell the court was that Israeli government has done research on it in presence of me. We have the videos and the tapes of it. Cambridge University has sent scientists to write programs to confirm I have developed the most advanced system for recovery of the brain. And funny enough is, we didn't know this, is in the writing of the mother writing that the Israelis and what you call Cambridge University scientists want Mr. Keshe to be present in the testing. If it's a fraud, how could be the world scientists interested on? Now you understand how we have to free the scientists to be able to release their knowledge, and how we see one man is connected to all the murders. Very interesting. Check it. Go to victims of Mr. Facts about Dirk, as we have seen it, and then you find more how a family who's supposed to be, most probably he must be, as now with what we have, richer than Bill Gates, because video compression has taken different dimensions. The inventions were his. His son has not got a bread to eat. He has to work night and day shifts to feed his daughter and his wife. And this is the justice of Red Circle. We are building a case up around this, and the world police and international police and governments cannot stay silent. We are looking for Mr. Myers' family in United States for them to allow us to build a case. His brother is still alive. If you're American, please find Mr. Go and see Mr. Meyer and tell them we have a solution. We'll give justice back. Nobody has put these cases together. It's our job. Not only to free science from now on, but bring justice to those who've been defrauded by. My question is, does Mr. Ben Nasrat has to live absolute poverty, working, slavery more or less, and people like Red Circle living in $1 million apartments in the middle of Antwerp outside the people's blood, and tampering with evidence and falsifying evidence to court is the best thing they do. That's why they were there. As we said, we opened a case. This case will be put to European Court of Justice. The days of freedom for people like Delanoa and Red Circle is getting counted on. We'll tell you more. What is interesting is, where do we take this knowledge from now on? We have brought the plasma technology to a new dimension. In the coming weeks and days, you have to learn and you have to follow us. I say you have to because you will see it, not us. You have to follow to free your nations, doesn't matter where you are, from food control. One of the biggest controls which the Americans and the Europeans have on the world at the moment is food security. We release data very soon, official data and governmental data, that the proper use of GANS technology allows the harvest to grow 2-3 times more, and does not, hopefully, shows us any genetic defects or changes. This has a huge implications on African nations who live on the handout of the Americans, because a farmer cannot produce enough food because the Americans flood the market with cheaper till they go down. Now the farmer can produce 3-4 times more rice, that he can challenge the American import. I lived in Africa. I worked in Africa for years. The biggest poverty in Africa is American food donation in rice bags. They bring the nation to poverty. What we need to do is to teach, as we see the beautiful job that Dr. Gatwa is doing in Kenya, and the work which Keshe Foundation will announce in the coming time in other parts of Africa, is to teach the African nations in a very open-based channels how to produce GANs and how to use it in farming. It's the job of the Keshe Foundation, especially Universal Council, to start mass teachings programs. In a way, you don't need to have millions. You have to ask, set up, position, condition that members of the Universal Council become actively involved in teaching the technology. That's how we bring freedom of man. How we can put things up. We're not looking at, we put the factories up, we'll support, because not everybody can do, but people have to be able to help themselves. The knowledge has to be taught freely as we have opened everything else with it. And in so many ways, we have to, it's our job to buy the freedom for human race. This is the job of the Keshe Foundation. If you have one nation, you cannot bring separation. The data which will come through the research by governments in the next few weeks will give the Keshe Foundation hopefully to join one of the biggest programs in the world, that we can spread the knowledge freely through that process. We have put our request. Our request to the governments are well known, and when it's done, when it gets achieved in the next months to come, then we'll go with the knowledge with the government to be able to help. We don't go to create slavery as the Europeans have done by taking Africa. We go with the government to bring the nations out of slavery to the freedom of themselves through the new knowledge. In the coming time, I'll release new technologies for mining, which never been disclosed, but is in pattern. There are ways to mine without damaging geology, the economy of the country, or destroying forest. The knowledge is within us. Many of you have practiced it, but you have no knowledge of how to apply it. We do not need to dig mines to destroy a city, strip a nation from its assets, and then sell it for more outside. The new mining section, which will be developed, will be in destruction, which means we cannot destroy anything of the environment. It'll be direct, the same as the material was produced, be it gold, be it diamond, be it copper, be it zinc, be it iron. The old tradition of mining with mankind is finished. But now, as part of the process, I start teaching it. It needs collaboration in a totally different way across with Keshe Foundation scientists and workers. In so many ways, the new way of mining through the Keshe Foundation technology is so touching and so beautiful that gives the humanity two choices. Do we mine or do we convert? You've seen the conversion. You've seen the way you used, and we shown the kiri tree in Austria. We didn't touch the ground. We used the environment to bring the energy to the plant. We can do the same as is shown by our research centers in different places. Produce material from interaction of the fields of the universe, as we will do in the space. What we do now is not to show a new technology. These are the tests to perfect the technology. When we go to a space, we have a full system that we know how to convert the fields of the universe to copper, zinc, or whatever we need. This is what I said from the beginning. When we go to a space, we don't need to take any medicine or material with us. Because as we've seen from research centers, you want copper, you create the field strength of the copper, that the plasma of the copper converting to GANs or to material condition, creation of environment, allows us to do this. We saw the first time this was done by Peter in Austria, some 2 years ago. And then he took his material to be tested because he thought he created gold, but he created zinc and everything else. In so many ways, now that we have learned how to produce ganses, now we have to understand the process of the conversion is the same. We produce ganses in a salt condition of this planet. Life comes through two processes. I wrote to one of the scientific, what are called research groups of the Keshe Foundation today. There is a big misunderstanding in the supporters of Keshe Foundation. When you use acidic condition, work within the matter state. When you use the salt condition, you work within the plasma condition. In the muscles of the man, there is no acid. It's all work on the salt levels. So gives life, gives continuity, gives conductivity, gives interaction of fields. Where when you work with acids, you create a link of the matter state in molecular. So what we got to learn, especially for our scientists, to understand the situation, what it is. Because I asked a simple question very recently. How you lot make gans of sugar? I asked many people, and somebody has come up with the hydrochloride acid and sugar, you get the gans of sugar, and the evidence is that it still has a magnetic field, so it must be the gans. To produce gans, you have not to go through the acid way, you have to go through the salt way. And the same as we've done with AOH. Understand how you produce it, and then understand what you create in the gas state. Then you can use it in space. It seems to be a lot of gaps in the knowledge, or somehow in the teachings the knowledge has been disappeared or not understood fully. So those of you who've been creating GANs of sugar using hydrochloride acid or nitrochloride acids or whatever, you've gone the matter way. Go the way we established the center, the program. You will get something, but it's not in the GAN state, because if I put it on a certain condition, you'll see they will not perform. You make a very high acidic, you can even go to negative, but it doesn't mean, as I said, whoever's got a mustache is not your uncle, as we say in Farsi. I love Farsi literature because it tells you exactly what it means. In this process, we have to learn how we produce these materials, because in space we need to follow the process of life. So those of you who go in production of materials, you have to understand your water has to have in the matter condition what to become matter. If you are using the fields to convert to the plasma to become matter, you need the salt conversion in your environment. So those of you who created gans of salt, you needed to be able to achieve a fast conversion. It's part of the work. Today's teaching, I try to cover little bits which is left behind and not understood. Because these little, what I call nitty-gritties, are important in the whole structure and puts everything back on the same position. I remember in 1990s when the Eastern Bloc opened, I went to a factory in Romania. I've said that many times. And there was a guy there in a shoe factory. I wanted to buy shoes, whatever they had, millions of them. And this guy was sitting there arguing with the guy for the position of the little tiny holes on the shoe. I went the next day, he was still there arguing how they are not doing where he wants it. I said to him, excuse me, I buy millions of shoes, but why are you arguing for little holes? He said to me, do you know this hole when it's here, I can sell thousands of. This hole here doesn't look, I can't sell any, I go bankrupt. And these people don't understand the decision of little holes on the shoe. So little things counts. And these little things has been missed in teachings. Maybe we gone too fast. Maybe we gathered information in different ways and we didn't split, what we call discuss it, or
Hello, Mr. Keshe. We have a temporary dropout here. Hello, Mr. Keshe, are you there? Oh, I think he dropped out and we'll have to wait a minute for him to reconnect, perhaps. Flint, I wonder if maybe if we could have a, it might be time for an intermission here.
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute. Mr. Keshe seemed to have come back
Yeah,
in there.
I'm back again. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Hello?
indeed.
Can you
Yes.
hear me? Where did I lose you or where did you lose me?
What was the last? Can anybody recall the last thing he said? It was about 30 seconds or so of gap here. Let's see. You were.
Anybody remembers?
Let's see. We got.
Do we have a replay?
Trying to remember.
Does anybody remember the last word?
Stella says the missing lesson, talking about the little things that we're missing.
Okay, okay.
Actually
The little
talking about
bits.
the GANs of sugar, and then you went into the salt condition and so on as well.
Yeah, okay, so you missed out. What I was trying to say, we missed little knickknacks of the knowledge. And a lot of people happen to, they inputted them their own knowledge, or what they thought it was correct way, and a lot of people have followed it. I have a problem with the GAN sugar. And to me, it's not a GAN sugar. And if I suppose to create a CH3 in a space, and I don't have it, I take a wrong field with it, I'm sure I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. People say the sugar is acidic and it goes to minus, what do you call it, 1 and minus 0 plus whatever it goes. But does it go actually that way? There is another problem in the whole structure of the teaching which you have to understand, and it comes to haunt our knowledge seekers, and some of them will get what I call lost in the maze of the knowledge, is what we call alkalineness. How do you interact with the alkalineness to change it to acidic? Or how do you change the acidic to become alkaline? In most of it, we just change the name. If you look at it, alkalineness, as we said in other teachings, is gravitational. Scientists have tried to find another way for it, another name for it. And what you call acidic is magnetical, is giving. And if you work on those bases, it's very easy to find out where it is. Where you are connected to the hydrogen, which is a free plasma, you are in a position to give. You have a free electron trying to find match, trying to find everything it can, that it can develop itself. It can give to sustain connections. Then you are magnetical. You call it acidic. If you look why you become alkaline, is because you carry majority of the time a connection with the oxygen, which oxygen is gravitational pull like a magnet of energies in the atmospheric condition of the earth. We talked about this in the teachings before, and somehow the knowledge apparently is not getting through. So if you understand this process, it should be very easy to understand the next steps, that when you create a condition, you understand the difference between the different terminologies we have used in the world of science. So if those of you who've been producing GANs of what I call sugar through acidic condition, well, it's a different direction. What we work as a GANs, as a magnetic field, then in the space of magnetism, what we call gravitational magnetic field spectrum, does not create condition of free plasma. They will have effect, they're all the same, but the way the magnetical field will perform is totally different than when it's done through the salt condition of this planet. In a space we don't have salt, in a space we don't have acids. In a space we use the free plasma of the neutron to create these conditions. This is part of the teaching which I went through last couple of weeks, and many people are trying to, what I call, test it and see if it goes. In so many ways, the knowledge of the space has to be unconditional on the matter state. In space, you have to be able to use field strength in respect to what is coming to you or what you're taking, that you can produce or retract what you need. In the coming teachings, especially on the space side, I will show you, and it's part of what will come up, what we call space travel. The space travel in the dimension of what you think at the moment, as we said, communication, you use the mobile phones. In a very simple way, you can transfer packages of information. Even at the moment, you send a package to go through the post, you can create conditions without any cost that you can post your system through the maglev systems you have at home and deliver it to anywhere you like. Zero time delivery. This I see to be with man within next 6 months, 12 months, because when we speak about it, the knowledge, we incite the knowledge, which means others will start working, and in the process they develop it. What this means is that you will be able to package energies. You've done this already. You call it nanotechnology. If you go back understanding how you created the nanomatters, nanomaterials, you have already been through this. Now you have to extend the knowledge. What it means is very simple. You have, those of you who work on these dimensions, extend your knowledge in a very simple way. Let me go back, as I said, to the basic of the knowledge. The basic of the knowledge is simple. Look at what you know and extend the knowledge in that process. I do a lot of fiddling you don't see in the background. I have things I have to open and close that I get what I want. So just wait. Let's go through the knowledge and then we transfer the knowledge across. Let me get the right pen. Blue is good. Actually, we go for black because then a lot of you understand. If you remember, this was a copper. This is the teaching you already know, but now we extend it. If I put this as a molecular structure of the copper, and we see this as we are looking across this copper bar. These are molecules which are making this. And if I number them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, let's give it 10. And then we do 11, 12, 13, 14, and we go on. This is a molecular structure. Every atom is locked into another by gravitational magnetic field forces of the planet we call Earth. Now we go through the process of what we call caustic. What do we get? We get these layers which are on this coming up like this. There we are. This is 1, this is 2. Let me choose a color that you can see it. This is 3, this is 4, 5, 6, 7. This is 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So what we get is literally this, that the layers now have become gravitationally magnetic field positioned that allows a space gap to be between them. This is what the nano layer is. This is the enlargement of this. So now you have these layers. When you see a dark material like a copper black, You have created, according to our research, between 30 to 50,000 layers of this. Don't forget, each one of these is one layer. So you have a sandwich of 30,000 on top of each other. The reason you see it as black, because any radiation from anywhere in the world, in the universe comes in, the layers are so packed and open that this has passed the 30,000 layers, but when it gets here, it gets trapped here. The other one comes, it gets trapped here. The other one comes, gets trapped here. And we go by layers. So if you extend the knowledge from here, it's very simple. The extension of knowledge is this. We have created energy trap. In the world of science, in electronic, we call it capacitors. Capacitors. So if you understand this dimension has a field force. These are dynamic systems, so they create their own in respect to this. If you understood this, you can transfer this into the knowledge of the larger dimension, then you see what you have. You put anything in this box, stays as it is. It's an envelope. You can put money in it, you can put a letter in it, you can put a razor in it, you can put a kiss in it. The envelope does not see. Now, if you match the gravitational magnetic field of your envelope to the system which your brother holds, you can transfer to. Nowadays, we scan our images. In the near future, we scan our magnetic field strength. And this is it. I can send you everything, even myself, because this takes position as is loose according to what you put in it, as we spoke about the space technology last week or the week before. These are the new developments that you as knowledge seekers have to understand and develop. And do not patent it, because it's here and it's already in the pattern we published. So what you need to understand, go from macro to micro, and then go from micro, develop systems for macro. This is the beauty of the technology. This is the beauty of what it sits there. This is part of the structure of new plasma technology. Because you match my system in gravitational magnetic field, you remember zero time transportation. I feel with what I've taught you with the neutron and the plasma of the neutron, some of you will move in this direction very soon. Because you're bored with making ganses every day. You're bored making that dynamic system and nothing to do. So I have to give you a new toy to play with. A new way to understand, to be able to extend your knowledge, and then life becomes more exciting. Life becomes more bearable because now you have something else to do. If you can send a text to your friend every few seconds by SMS or by WeChat, now you can send yourself to your friend, I'm there, can I come? I'll be there in, as we say in English, in a jiffy, in package delivered. So, in so many ways, now you understand, we go back to the very first teachings of explaining nanotechnology. But now we take it to the scale of communication, transportation. These kind of systems will become essential for many of you in the time to come. It will become everyday use for the technology, and you'll never ever know where it came from. But at this moment, it's your job, the Keshe Foundation scientists, to start developing this, to understand this. There are other ways to do it in a more advanced way. You just need one of these. If you understood the totality of the dynamic core magnetic field layering, in so many ways, what you're going to be, you'll be standing here. You match the gravitational and the magnetical with your mother's house gravitational magnetical, you're transported directly. These are not fairy tales anymore. These are, at this moment of time, reachable by many of those who understood the whole process of plasma technology. What I'm trying to do, I'm trying to bring you out of the world of gas making and making little things. We had a friend in Canada. He came into the Keshe Foundation. Many of you know, he went very fast in teaching. But he didn't know what he was doing. In so many ways, you can make yourself a lot of new gadgets if you understand the process. In a way, if you understand and take it, this might take man thousands of years to understand, but I explained that one day man might understand. As I showed you, this is the space that you protect. And if you remember a few seconds ago, I put a man there. Now that you understood the creation of the soul of the man, I need the soul of the man and not the man anymore. And in that transportation system, I can carry many souls. This is how, in the universe, some creatures travel. In time, man will reach to understand this. I have taught 2 or 3 groups of the Keshe Foundation how to create the soul of themselves. And they're busy with it. Those are the ones who are involved in the space technology development, already have been taught. These become the commanders of the spaceships. These people will understand the next steps in generation of the science and technology. As I said, when I teach all once we spread the knowledge. We don't need to patent it and we don't need to classify it. But people have to understand. Gradually to become to this position. You have to understand, when you make neutron ganses, which neutron creates gravity and which neutron creates magnetical field. Where do you position each? Or what do you have in your hand that you can switch one to the other? Don't forget, you know this already. Now you have to practice it and understand it. What is the magnetical of the North Pole becomes the gravitational of the South Pole of the other. This is the next step in understanding of the work of the universal work. Transportation system, communication systems. And then you understand you only need one fuel to travel the span of the universe. And this fuel, because of its characteristics that it locks into every energy, can go and recharge itself. You never run out of neutron energy if you know how to handle it. Neutron is a singularity of the plasma. Even an electron is a neutron, because in time will split in energy, will force it to split itself. So when we speak in the dimension of the plasma and neutron, means singularity of the plasma. How do you create it? It can even be a CuO, it can even be a ZnO, it can even be CH. Because this singularity has its own characteristics. You have to find a singularity of its strength in either way. So those of you who've been busy for around the Keshe Foundation for quite some times, now you have a new toy. You have a new way of understanding the technology. New way to be able to spread the knowledge, to be able to practice the knowledge, and at the same time to be able to understand the knowledge. We understand where we sit, we understand how we work, we understand how the things will develop. Are there any questions?
Mr. Keshe, I would have a question which is related to the medical group and the plasma of neutrons, if it's possible.
Yes.
I made the hemoglobin by using additionally a rusty iron plate in the GANS production process. And
Can you repeat that, please?
I made the hemoglobin by using additionally the rusty iron plate in the GANS production process of CH3. And
can you draw it for us to share the screen?
yes, of course. So if this is the container, we were using we draw it in another color. A galvanized iron plate, and at the other side a nano-coated copper. I think it's better to, yes. What I did is I was using, after connecting these two plates with an LED, I was using a salt content, a salinity of 0.9%, which is equal to the amniotic fluid in the amnion of the mother.
The womb of the mother.
In the womb of the mother, yes. And then what I changed now, I introduced in the middle of it a rusty iron plate. As soon as the amino acid appeared at the top layer here, so that the iron plate can cross the amino acid, which is the attachment to the physicality, and this gives us the, we called it blood, gives us the blood of it. And after some hours, you see here the blood dropping down. To the bottom. And here at the bottom, we already have the gases of CO2 through the interaction of the nano-coated copper fields with the zinc of the galvanized iron plate. And as we know now, we through this we are able to connect the through this the CH3 becomes the strength of the iron, and this is what I've understood, that the isotopes, the CH3 isotopes of iron, can now connect to the zinc. So this is, I think, very important that this connection can be done through this process. So we are able to connect the physicality, which is the amino acid, with the emotions, which is more or less our blood. My question is, when we go to the next step now, and we would like to introduce here the free plasma of the neutrons. I just draw it yellow here, for instance here. Then we have the possibility to connect this free plasma to the amino acid, which is the physicality, to the emotions, which is the blood. And what we have here, the nano-coated copper plate. Here we can also make a connection to this one. But from here on, I have to start to talk theoretically, because here my question starts. What is available now is the neutrons out of the produced out of the process from H3 and H2, and this hemoglobin. Currently, they are more or less separated, and I don't know how to link the fields of the neutron with the fields of the amino acids, the fields of CH3, zinc, and copper. Is it?
They are already connected. The problem is that in the world of magnetic field, the connections are already made. They take from it if they need it. You don't need to see it to be there. If you wait there for a while, you see the color might change. You might see something else might be added. You might see new creatures on the amino acid top. The process is already there.
Okay, so there is even no need to add some drops of the, let's say, the water of the neutrons into the salt water of this production process?
That's what you can do, but you have to extend it to understand the process. You have the problem with us is that we have to see it physically with our eyes, or feel it on our skin, or taste it on our lips, or smell it to our nose to believe it works. Do we smell the fields of the sun coming to Earth, or do we touch it, hold it? Do we, what do you call it, taste it or smell it? If you have created the field and the neutron, you set the condition for it to be there, and it creates the condition, and you know you're correct. The only thing is just take your time and see how that red and orange changes, and would anything appears. There's a lot of things which you have not learned. Maybe I can explain. There's a, I want to add to something which I think I cannot annotate on your program. Rick, help.
Can you go up to the top screen where it says
I don't have that. I usually go
Oh,
there. It says
maybe we
because
can.
View options at the top of your screen there.
view option says fit to view 50% original size 150. It says request full screen remote control.
Yes, I'm having the same problem actually. So
Is that the new update with the Zoom which coming today?
possibly. Also, our Zoom chat is different than normal, so maybe one of the options.
Okay, I send a request to you, Klaus. Do you see a request that I can change?
Yes, I can see it.
Maybe this is a new addition, maybe. Click to start the remote. Okay. I still don't have it.
Drawing will not work with remote control.
It says Mr. Keshe is controlling you now.
No, are you? Oh, can you shake your hand? Arms up, legs down.
Yes, I do, but I glued my camera.
Can anyone else see the annotate option? That's one of our panelists here, or
Yeah, I do on mine.
Yes, I can see.
okay.
How come we can't see?
For some reason, I'm not able to as well.
But I am on Windows, you're on Mac.
We're on Max
Yeah.
here.
Maybe that's it. The new update didn't quite include the Mac into it.
Oh my God.
Rick, if I send you a picture, a screenshot of it, would it help?
Sure, I guess that would we could work with that.
Okay. Let me just stop sharing.
Now you gotta put it up, Rick.
It's on your Telegram, Rick.
No, I forgot what I wanted to teach you.
That's the problem.
Yeah, it's an old age, it's catching up. Soon I don't even know where home is. I'll be carrying one of these sandwich cards. This is my home address. Can you take me, please? Okay.
Okay. Flint has it up there now, I think.
Oh my God, where are we going? Okay.
That's what you want, right? Now we should be able, let's see if it'll allow the, now the annotate shows up. So for me.
Shows at the right at the bottom. Yeah, I got it now. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Now I forgot what I was teaching you.
Yes, where were we?
Klaus, help.
You said there are a lot of things you don't understand, and I would like to add to the knowledge. And my question was...
Oh, yes, I know. This is important. Actually, I was thinking this morning when I woke up. Shall I teach them or shall I not teach them? Or is it time to teach them? I was discussing this with my son about 2 o'clock this morning. I spent about an hour and a half with him. And he's a doctorate in a special field, and he uses this technology of, he doesn't understand. I was trying to explain this to my son, and I thought if I could explain to him, he could understand, and then I can go to the next step of taking him to the next step of our knowledge. And I said, I've never taught this in the teachings, but it's in the patterns again. You can see it. Maybe now we can put a knowledge onto it, and then you understand a lot of things, even in the world of creation, in the world of life. You will understand maybe other things. As I explained to my son this morning, I explained to you, and then I add to it in different way. It's you speak about the interaction of these things. You speak about the interaction of hydrogen, nitrogen. These are dynamic things. They're not just a spot. Even that blood which is dripping is in dynamic form. You have to ask yourself 2 questions. One question is, where does the color come from? Why do I see it as red? The other one comes, why do I see the CO2 as white? The other point comes, what happens when the CO2 and hemoglobin are there, plus the neutron. There's a field interaction. What we have not considered up to now is one thing. We spoke about the fields. These are dynamic entities, we see them. But in being dynamic entities, they create their own light spectrum. The light spectrum of each one will be what man will use to identify the materials. We get the bright light of the sun, the white, and if we get the sun at the dawn or the dusk, we get different colors. It's the same sun, the same earth. We have to start learning, I touched this last week very, very softly about it, is the spectrum of light which these entities create. And in so many ways, we can use this as a fingerprint for molecular structure of ganses. We can use these for sterilization. So now if you have two dynamic cores running, you put the gans of this and gans of that, and you're waiting to collect material in, what field radiation of the light you create? Now, this is the new addition to the knowledge we have to learn. Now, we call this the aura. This is the body of the man gravitational magnetic field. This is the gravitational magnetic of the planet. The interaction gives us the aura. Now we have to look for this light. In the coming time, those of you who work on the space technology will rely on these colors. Manifestation to the eye of the man. And you will find out when it comes to plasmatic colors, in the matter state, we see a spectrum of, I see orange 2, you see orange 4, which matches my orange 2. In a plasmatic condition, my orange 2 is your orange 2, it's not your orange 4. As you know, in the matter state, we see different colors as we're all looking at it. I see the blue, dark blue, you see the slightly different blue. If I give you a color chart and I ask you what color you see in the blue, you will never mark what I mark, very rarely, because the spectrum of what you see converted to the information of the matter state is different than when you see in the color of the plasma. But when you work in the color of plasma, my number 2 is your number 2. There is no error. There is a painting called The Last Supper, and it has over 35,000, if I remember, strands of wool, which are silk, which has been woven and colored too. It's only about 70 centimeter by 40 centimeter, made in Iran, worth millions of dollars. I held this thing in my hands some time ago, and I thought, does the line, every strand of the beard of the Christ bless his name, has been dyed specifically to fit in, is the genius work of an artisan. It's taken thousands of people years to produce this small piece of carpet. But when I look, is that strand of gray to me is gray to you in the matter state? No. But in the plasma state, the strand of the light is always the same. My 2 is your 2. My 4 is your 4. My red 8 is your red 8. So what we got to start looking to bring more precise dimensions into the work of the plasma is the lights which we have ignored up to now. Because the light has and will affect what will be released on the plasma layers. By changing the light, by increasing, by conditioning the light, we can dictate the emission, gravitational or magnetical. This is part of the teaching which gradually those who work in the space technology will understand. So when you look at these things and you can create a condition, look for the light. And then if you see the light, there is a connection. Then you see it's getting fed. There is no need for guesses. Emission of light through plasma is the cornerstone of creation in dimensional transfer and in so many ways indication of the field. I would like to say I received a message. Arman is in the background in Mexico Teaching Center. There are a bunch of Mexicans with us listening to the teaching live. It's late time in Mexico, I presume. We welcome you to the teaching and we thank you for being there. As we said, Mexico will become one of the teaching centers of the Keshe Foundation, and today Arman is with them. Thank you very much, Arman, for what you've done, and appreciate your work. And now, as we saw with Dr. Gat was sharing the knowledge, we see um, that Mexico has joined us, that live with us in teaching, and what we say, thank you for being here and share the knowledge freely across Mexico and learn it that you can teach it and change what I call your environment and your life. In so many ways.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Keshe, I just wanted to interject that Miguel had put in the chat that he has a video he wanted to show as well.
Yes,
so
let's finish with this and then we come to it. Yes,
yep.
Mikhail. Yes,
Thank
Mikhail is one of the motions which has now joined into the Keshe Foundation Mexico. He's with Arman and he's part of the Keshe Foundation structure in Mexico and helping with teaching and progressive development of the Mexican, what they call Keshe Foundation. What we should look for is these lights and use of lights. Because when you start running your dynamic systems to create gold, you have to look for this light because certain light gives the strength of gold. You see the light first and then you convert it. And it's important. I do quite a lot of this, and I used to do it when we had a lab in Belgium. I used to work on this principle. I used to make the lab dark. And I can see the fields of the plasma, interaction of the plasmas. It's a natural process. Some of you will be talented to see it. Some of you, you see, I can see the aura of some people. You should be able to see in a minute way, and we should develop technologies that can detect the lights. And then you will see all these bloods and neutrons that are there, if they're interacting, all become certainty because you see the interaction. Plasma light is one of the ways that in the universe we find patterns of passage. It's very much, it's a tunnels. It's the tunnels of fields that are millions, hundreds of millions of kilometers long, billions of kilometers long, and some of them are hundreds of millions of kilometers diameter. It's very much like air tunnels we have. In space, we rely on these to take us. These are highways and motorways of the space. Because they're established, they're strong, they hold on to, they're safe. There is no possibility of interaction with anything else. They are the rivers of passage, and we only see them through lights. There's nothing tangible in it. As long as we stay within the color range, we know we are safe, we can travel. And each color ends up in one place or the other, which gradually man will, what we call, map out. When a man joins the universal community, these maps will be handed over freely. You'll be taught, and then you understand. These are very advanced stages of teaching, but as I said, we teach that in thousands of years man can understand when it comes to it. You can use the same thing. If you can create a tunnel of light between two sets, whatever you produce in there is enveloped. It has the same strength energy. Plasma is a different game, but you have to understand the interaction between the two. You have to be able to follow the process of not only the plasma, but the interaction of the fields, because some of these lights indicate, in a way, if the system is magnetically working, is it taking from the other one or is it giving to someone? And then if you want to change it, how you change it. Somebody's microphone is open. In so many transfers of energy, you need to have these lights. You have to understand the transfer of the fields of these lights. You have to understand how these lights in the progressive development of the technology can be used for different applications.
Mr. Keshe, does this mean if the lights of the plasmas in this process here of CH3, zinc, CO2, iron, amino acids, if they are connected, that we see the light of our soul?
Your soul has more complicated matters in it than just this. But your soul is in the dynamic state, it is a static state. The progress and process of transfer of the soul of the man into the plasma condition has been taught in past 2 weeks to the teams of Keshe Foundation scientists. They are capable, they understand, and in time we'll share the knowledge. There are teams which are taught that they are going through this process. They have to understand it themselves. Transfer of the soul of the man to the dimension of the plasma fields is the cornerstone of deep travel space, where you allow more souls to be attached to and become part of. You don't carry the physicality of the man, you carry the soul of the man in depth of space. Time becomes meaningless, the space is meaningless. When man matures into his dimension, then you can travel the spaces of the universes, not the universe. This is one of the reasons that I started teaching past couple of weeks, and that few teams who are working on it understood, was explained. It's not so mechanical, it's so much understanding the transfer of the energy in the free dimension that you create. If you understand it, the free plasma becomes the vessel and not the soul. It's the system which you embed the soul in it, and then it can lead to the creation of the entity at the point of arrival, when the soul is happy and it sees no danger to its existence.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
Would you like to take a question, Mr. Keshe?
Shall we see the video from Mexico?
Okay. Can you present that? Let me get Miguel in here as a panelist first. Okay, you're a panelist now, Miguel. Do you want to present your video?
Do they have the line of communication?
His microphone's open. I'm just not hearing him speak yet. I think you'll have to adjust your microphone there, Miguel. Something's happening. You hear some static. Tuning in Mexico here. Hello, Miguel? Still not hearing you. Sounds like you have a bad microphone connection, perhaps.
Can we see their video, or do you have it?
I have it as a YouTube video that we could see. Let me just get that lined up. He might be having a bad connection or something there.
You want me to stop sharing?
I wanted to say that he has, Miguel, sometimes a very bad connection. He is a very good teacher now in Knowledge Seekers Workshop Spanish. And you can maybe show the video, and John Wells can translate it. So it's very beautiful to see.
Okay.
Is that the live one currently as they are there now, or is it been loaded before?
It's loaded before.
Yeah, it's a YouTube video. Let's I've got that here.
He has also many other videos like this, very beautiful what he's doing, really. It's a must-see.
Okay, so this is 3.5 minutes, and I believe it's in Spanish. It's got some background sound, so I have to keep the noise or keep the sound level down on it, especially if John's going to translate.
Yes.
The video plays. Okay.
It's in Spanish, yes.
John, are you ready for this?
All ready.
Okay, good. And let me make sure that
John is always ready.
Whoops, get that over here. Okay. Should be able to see the video there now. And just okay, we'll begin now.
Can you hear me? Testing, testing.
Oh, oops. Right at that moment, Miguel comes in. Yes, we hear you now.
They say yes. Go on, carry on.
Do you want me to play your video, Miguel, or are you still there?
I received a message from Armand that they just left. They're finished because it's late there.
Can you hear me there?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, Mr. Keshe. I was having problem with the
This
microphone.
is a different Miguel than the Miguel I'm talking about. Sorry about that.
So this is the video that I was trying to show you, because I made a triple static reactor with crystals.
No, we were looking for the video. Sorry, Miguel. We were looking for the video from the Keshe Foundation Center in Mexico.
Okay.
We are there, but I just received a message from Arman that they just left. This is different, Miguel. It's 2 a.m. We were there from 8 o'clock. They just left. Anyway, thank you very much, Arman. Okay.
So I was to show you this video because we have a reactor here outside of the crystal balls, and in this container we have 3 different types of guns. In the very big one we have a CH3. In the middle we have another another gun says CO2 guns, and in the center we have the three different guns: the CO2, CH3, COO, and the graphite guns also. And I was checking that when we are having the core running outside, the behavior of the guns change. You can see different lines. Can you see the lines there? And you can see it there in the CO2, in the white ones. There are like a different pattern, a different form that is making the, and you can see outside also these kind of lines that is making for the fields that is making this reactor.
This looks like an eye.
Yeah, looks like an eye. Actually, I was checking this stuff, and looks really looks like an eye. And another thing that that I want to show you is in this section, in the last section, and you can see the CH3, but we have a transparent sphere. This transparent sphere appear right there. I am putting it with my finger. The sphere, the transparent sphere appeared there, and in the very last section, and this like kind of white, is like guns also, but is made by the field for the reactor that I have outside. So this has two different cores, and I am mixing the guns. Sometimes I am putting the heaviest in the center and the lightest in the bigger. And sometimes to have a different reaction, I am filling the reactors in different way, like the lightest in the center and the heaviest in the bigger, to see the behavior. And this is one of the results that I have with the fields. Looks like lines in the CH3 guns and in the CO2 guns.
Can I ask you a question? You put these in a tube form, or have they created that themselves?
No.
As the glasses you put inside each other. These are glasses inserted inside each other with different materials.
Yeah, but in the last section, in this section, the sphere looks like I don't know, looks a little bit strange, because has a visual effect like if the sphere is in 3D. The transparent sphere that appears there in this section is made by the field. No, it's a different container. The container is this one, the bigger, and this one, and this one. And right here, I don't have any container, but it looks like a container in 3D, in 3D.
This brings another topic of teaching. Now that you show this, if you look in the eye of a man, I've spoken about this before, and we see different colors of the eye. This is what I was explaining just a few minutes ago, that the interaction of the fields creates a light, and very much, very much, the color of the eye of the man, in the future man will understand, is representation of the soul of the man. Because it's so close to the soul, and is so interactive due to its field strength, as you see it here. We see people with a blue eye. We see people with a black eye. We see people with different color eyes. It's very much, partially, is the interaction of the fields of the brain, which reflects the soul of the man. We see characteristics from different colors. I explained this last week, people with different color eye. You see the change of the color of the eye, as you explained here, as you show in a way, with the people of the beautiful people. Very, very strange is that people of the beautiful soul, what you call a schizophrenic, by sometimes the change of the color of the iris, you can say who's speaking. Because it's different soul which interacts, and that soul creates that condition of interaction. And in watching, you can see which one is there. I've seen that for years. So when we say the eye is a point of the channel or the way to the soul of the man, is very true. If you ever come across people of, and the soul is of the total different characteristics and dimension within the structure of the physicality of the man, you will see different color eyes. They change instantaneously. As one speaks to the other, it might change slightly in the shade of the brown, it might change into some sort of a greenish brown, it changes to greenish, and sometimes even changes to blue. And in so many ways, they say some people, it's discussed before, sometimes when man reaches the point of death, the eye sometimes turns blue. Because it's because of this, it's a reflection of the soul of the man. And in so many ways, you might see a person with one color eye today and tomorrow with another. You know there is is carries souls. The stability of one soul gives one color. And then you understand, as I said, that the frequency or the strength of the light tells you what it is, always that interaction. The certain color eyes, which is a reflection of the soul, it means that soul has that base foundation. Not all the black eyes are exactly black. There is a tint, but it shows in foundation what it is. Aggression, peaceful, different mentality. And you want to understand a person by the reflection of the eye of the soul of the man through his eye, the color of the eye. You can more or less, if you become a little bit more understanding, you can see or expect what to expect from them. Because that color of eye absorbs certain fields from the universe that reflects back this way. It's part of the structure of the manifestation. This is what I taught this to some doctors years ago in Manchester, and they looked at me and they said, "We never noticed it." I said, "Pay attention." The shape of the eye changes. You see John has a different shape, and you see Mark in the same body has a slightly different shape. Because he absorbs different lights. even has the same encounter base color, but it's slightly different. When you speak to John, you use Mark. Many people who suffer from this injustice, what we call the schizophrenic, they hide in the dark rooms because they don't stand the change of color. They have a problem. Because sometimes Mark is on duty when the light of the soul is much stronger from John, and it cannot be absorbed. You find a lot of people with the schizophrenic, as you call it, become solitude, to stay in locked rooms. Partially it's because of non-acceptance of society, they don't want to sit down with somebody else nobody sees, but partially is the light. You see change of color. You see the emotion with the color. And you understand you are in the presence of different person. Voice changes, shape changes, emotion changes.
There is another video, Mr. Keshe, but before to show you the another video with is something about the light and the rays. I want to let you know that this line, this white line or circle that is here, is made by the field. Is not a reflect thing. Is not a reflection. Is made by the field. And another strange thing is in this section looks very transparent, very transparent, like if you see a sphere coming out. You will see maybe later.
I've seen many of these. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay. Okay, so Rick, can you put another link that I sent you? It's about the motion reactors with light.
Okay, where did you send me the link? In the chat? Okay.
Because I had a different, I load the reactors with different kind of gases, and the result that I got was a different pattern of light, because I put again a CD in the bottom to see the reflection of the photons, because I was studying Max Planck, and Max Planck in his investigation tell us that we can liberate electrons from the matter if we are achieving purple light. So in the reactors, you can see that we're gonna reach a different patterns and different shapes, different colors, depends about the loading with different kind of guns.
Yes, this is
Miguel, you'll have to send that to me again or something, or hit the send button or whatever. I don't have that in the chat.
I'll send you again.
What is interesting?
It's the last link that I sent.
In the Zoom chat here, you mean?
Can I?
You'll have to hit the send button then, because it's not in the chat, or send it again.
Can I speak?
Rick.
Can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Yes.
Okay. What I'm going to do, I'm going to stop this to another dimension. When we run the Iranian nuclear reactors for testing, as you were aware before even going to Iran, we developed, you've seen the Iranian space program, we have a dome. And I try to draw it that you can see it. Hey boy, where are you going? Here, I need you. We have a dome, and in this dome we control, as you've seen it, we have reactors, and as I said many times, we had many um, nuclear materials, what we call from smoke detectors. You all know now, and we have an internal reactor. Let me draw it this way. And one of the interesting thing is, we always vacuum this to -13, which is really better than the space. Space is 11, 12. And when we reached plasma, we could see different lights in the plasma, in the vicinity of each reactor. It gave us an indication when I used to look, because I had a porthole looking into it, it gave me an indication which magnetic fields are balanced. What you show, we see this in plasma, not in the nuclear interaction phase. On the plasmas which are created, you see it's like a sky with different lights on it. And it's dynamic, it's not stuck to the wall where that nuclear material is. It's dynamic, it floats. And you see it very clearly. One is an orange one is floating, the other one is a yellowish one floating. And they are free plasmas. Many of the things which is written in patterns, many of the things which is written in teachings, is what is physically observed. And now in you doing different, what I call teachings or testing, you come up with these things and you show it, you see it. So when Ogila speaks about these spots or these lights, it comes from the interaction of the field of the plasmas. And we've seen this for years. And it's very much is when you look at the eye of the man, you see different colors. When you have a perfect plasma condition, most of the reactor has a homogeneous color. All the plasmas light up near enough to each other. You know you're just about to achieve lift or motion, because it has a color.
And one thing that I want to share with you is when I was making some static reactors, and the rain was starting and make some rays in the sky. And I have a video that I recorded it, and you were talking about like 3 workshops before all the plasma technology is interacting with the clouds, and the rays that is coming from the sky is plasma also. So in that occasion was a synchronicity, because I was having that testing, and 3 or 4 different rays was making noise when was raining.
Are you going to share it with us? Who's has it?
Actually, I want to show you a different video. If you want to play it, Rick, you have it.
The one that the second link, yeah, I've got that.
The second one, yeah.
That. Okay, let me get that set up here.
And you're gonna see the different shapes according with the different guns that I was loading.
So are we going to see anything?
Rick is taking care about the plate.
Can you see it right now, or
No, we are having the another video.
which video is? Do you want? You don't want to play this one?
No, the other one, the last link that I send you, or if you want me to.
The last link
share,
was.
Do you want me to share the screen?
This is the last link you sent me. Okay. Do you see it there now? Or
no? Our dynamic right there.
There we go.
Oh,
right
okay.
there we have it.
Somehow it wasn't sharing properly.
Okay,
and
so
I think it says,
you want to put it in the very beginning?
at the very beginning of this video. Okay.
Yeah.
You had a specific time in it. Okay, sure. There we go.
So you're gonna see the different those lights that you can see there. If I have another kind of filter with the cam, looks like rays coming out from the reactor, and it's like taking like a shape of 3D also.
What is in the background? Is that a CD?
The CD again. And this is another one, and you can see the difference in the colors. It's like a softer, the colors. And all the CDs are the same. But the change that I made was the different kind of guns. Right there we have just CO2. And look the difference in this one. Look the red color is totally different, and look the rays that is coming out from the reactor.
We've seen this before. I saw this one a few months ago and I thought it was very interesting.
Yeah.
The use
yes, I wanted to show you in this video that the colors are different, depends about the guns that you can put inside.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Can you do a recording of a double core and change the core inside? The same salinity, the same amount of GANs, but allow for a second core and load it different or the same and see if you get anything else on your disk.
Okay.
This is a mono core. It's a single core with CO2 in. What about
no, right here we have a double core. In that one that I touching with my hand, the first one is double core and the second one is just a single core.
Both the same material?
No, it's different guns, and you can see the difference in the light.
I think this is genius, whoever came up with this, but we have to explore it to be able to use it in a certain way, not in a certain way, that we can identify interaction of fields. For example, if you put CO2 in, or you put a neutron of the tritium or a neutron of hydrogen into different one, what color would be? This, if that can be established, it's a genius way to do it. When I saw it for the first time, I thought that's amazing. It's a beautiful knowledge.
In this one, you can see that the red color
somebody else who started it
is more present than the other ones. In this one, look at that. The red
we need to establish some sort of a color range data, color coding with this. I think maybe it can be done. But does it matter if it's, they're all Blu-ray discs, am I correct?
Yeah, but sometimes the some kind of colors are more present.
Yeah, no, it's just that if it's a blue color disc, then...
No, the disc is white. It's white.
No, don't mean that. I don't know if you know about how they make these discs. To go to a small disk, they had to use a color back. You know, we used to use needles in the old LP record players. Now these CDs, the groove in the CDs is on the bandwidth of the light.
Okay.
And during the President Clinton, he allocated 6 billion of research to be able to go down to blue. There's a stage after this, there's a lot of research going on it, that then you can get more information. It depends, it's very much the sharpness of the needle, if you understand it that way.
Okay.
The narrower bandwidth we go in, the thinner we go, the more we can get on the same disk. And to reach to what you see, what we call a blue disk race, America spent 6 billion just to finance the research. Japanese have spent even more on this. That's why I said I see a blue color in there. That's why I said it's a blue disk. And this is, if it's a larger one, you see a different light. The old big LPs, the CD, what do you call it? The 5 centimeter and the smaller one are different colors might be produced.
Okay.
Thank you very much. It's very nice.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you indeed. Anything else, or shall we call it a day? What are we on? No, 2 hours 15. Been teaching too much.
Mm-hmm. Well, we can do whatever you like. I know it's
No, it's not just if there are any questions we to ask. There is something happening in the background because now we're becoming part of one nation. It's good to explain. A lot of responsibility of the Keshe Foundation is getting handed over to Universal Council. And members of Universal Council gradually are taking shape in their ways with what we call the other arms of the Keshe Foundation. And they need a lot of support. If you are in any speaking languages that you have a member, they need a lot of help to be able to reach and spread the knowledge in the languages which they are in. And we ask for requests for help in a way for the Universal Council. Check what members of the Universal Council, if it's within you or within your language, or if it's not in your language, you can support them. As the Keshe Foundation expands into different knowledges, we need a lot of volunteers to be able to carry the knowledge of Keshe Foundation into governments, into the structure of schools, into structure of healthcare and the rest. And this is a collective support we need to be able to transform and transfer the knowledge into what I call in the public domain, in the mass. If you are off and you think your soul can serve the humanity, you can join the Keshe Foundation as a member of the Universal Council, that you can serve your speaking language. We were discussion going on a few days ago that, for example, the Spanish speaking and the Spanish speaking in Mexico, in Spain and Mexico, or in the United States, is gradually has changed. And it carries a different dimension of the soul because they live in a different environment. If you are a Spanish speaking for Spain, and if you're a Spanish speaking for Mexico, you can appoint, you think your soul can serve the members of the Council of Mexico, Mexican speaking. There is a room on the board of Universal Council. Because the environment changes the soul of the man. And even the language spoken. This is accommodated in the original plan of the Keshe Foundation, which was presented in Dubai, and it was discussed with the members of the Universal Council. If you see your soul is there to serve humanity, and very much, if you are a, what you call Spanish speaking in Portugal, for example, even though you are not Portuguese speaking, but you speak in the area of the Portuguese, which carry as part of their culture of work, speak Spanish, a lot of them too, you still have a room in the Universal Council. We've shown this in Chinese Keshe Foundation, members of Universal Council. So this allows the culture to be understood by your members of the Earth Council. It's very important. An European Earth member of the Earth Council cannot understand the problem or what is needed, because the mentality is not carried by the Spanish side, but is carried by the American, what do you call, Spanish speaking or South American Spanish speaking, with through their own Earth Councils. This is very important. Don't think that you have the Spanish speaking who's from Spain. I cannot become a member because I think I can serve the Spanish speaking in Mexico. That accommodation has been foreseen. In the structure of the Universal Council, we see 10,000 languages. And there are around about 19, 18, 19 of them. I don't know that number of figures. So it has to be understood that every soul has right to be represented by its culture and its position on this planet. So you will see it'll be very hard for a European member of the Earth Council to understand. Maybe he will understand partially the problem of the Spanish speaking from Brazil community, or because they've taken different culture, different dimensions, or the Mexican speaking Spanish people from, that is responsibility of the North American continent Earth Council members. This was something which is discussed on the table, and these things needs a lot of help, needs immense amount of help, and development and a structure. And as Keshe Foundation is on the discussion table of different governments or authorities, and it's coming up in a different way, you will see new demands will be coming up on the Universal Council, and they'll go. Keshe Foundation has broken through international dominion. For a while, we saw a lot of pressure through all the rubbish which was put on the internet. Governments start investigating, looking at how come, and they found that it's all one guy is doing it, and they're crony of another structure, and more or less is written off. They're keeping an eye because there are a lot of things connected to this gentleman, a lot of other misconducts around the world, and it'll be good for us as the technology has broken through to be ready for this. We are aware of a lot of things which are happening. We have to keep silent for it. It's a matter of respect for the nations who are working on this platform and the governments which are working on this platform. We are ready to submit the health applications to 3 governments more or less around the world, who will go bypassing any FDA regulations, because Keshe Foundation, by you posting so many testimonials, have already passed clinical trials, been used by the people. This is why a lot of governments will start looking. Any test you've done, any achievement in health you achieve, post it up on the testimonials. We are using it as part of the total research. Governments cannot afford paying it. You have done it. You use it for the skin, you use it for the cancer, you use it. Show all the good and the bad. What other things you've seen it has helped, or maybe something you never thought. We have to be open-minded in respect to the technology. The minute we become all goodies is the time when we lost it. We are all baddies. If you see something different, let us see, let other people understand. Post all your testimonials as much as you can. You have the Keshe Foundation testimonials, you have a beautiful part which is done by other groups. We've seen that there, which release a lot of testimonials on whatever you've done, be it on the water cleaning, be it on your health test. Governments are looking for this as data at the moment. The governments we are talking to, because they see it's done by ordinary people. It has created a huge shortcut. These testimonials you are posting has created an enormous shortcut for us who are on the front trying to bring the technology to governments. Golden age of GAN's testimonial is very important. I thank you for setting it up and looking after it so beautifully. Put it up. The sites which you see you want to put, and I request from the people who run these sites, do not edit. Unless somebody puts rubbish on, let people speak what they found. It didn't work, it worked, whatever it is. The golden age of GANs is managed perfectly in so many ways. Open platform is how it should be. Even the Keshe Foundation testimonials is that way. We don't interfere. As long as you don't put rubbish in, it's published. Because we do not understand all of it, and some of us might use it in the future to our own benefit. Try to use the platforms we have created to the best of your ability. To the best of our ability, we can reach as many people as possible. We are very, very close. We are extremely close for the Keshe Foundation work to become internationally recognized. It's so close that we have decided to keep silent. A few more times you will see it. Keshe Foundation will be recognized as totality of it, not as me as an individual or any of us as Keshe Foundation members. We are so close that it's frightening close. So much work, and in so many ways. I sat in a meeting very recently and I watched people going on internet. I could see them. And I could see them, they went on facts about Keshe. I could see them going victims of Keshe. I saw them, they're talking to each other, they were doctors, I could see the reaction. And then I saw their verdict. This is load of rubbish. We want to do the research, we want to develop it, and these guys are a bunch of terrorists. And because of it, in the next few days, we carry on one of the largest research developments for Keshe Foundation with national organization. Because they had to judge, is this correct, or what we read, all this nonsense, or what sits in front of us? And the verdict has turned. Because the governments are realizing one thing, the technology is so good that these people tried to discredit it, that it goes and they can control it. Now they're happy that they received it, and amazing enough, it belongs to all of us. Little picture in the video, little teaching in the jungles of Africa, little teaching in North America, helping in distributing GANs in the streets of earthquake of Italy, has all paid off. I wish I could share with you what is about to happen, but we have decided to keep silent. Because it should not come from Keshe Foundation, it has to come from governments. 2 days ago we were in the ministerial level discussions level that what Keshe Foundation has put down and shown performance. We expect a massive development on that side. We've seen that Keshe Foundation Health is being accepted to be tested in 2 or 3 countries. Agriculture now is in 2, 3, 4 countries, and governments don't want to fall behind. And what is beautiful with what we saw, all the rubbish on the internet, now governments are deciding, are we going to listen to this? Or we're going to see, look at the people who have changed. And the thing is, everything ends up with one name in all the rubbish. And all one murderer. This is very clear how it's going. And I thank the governments and the officials who have overlooked, How come it's one person putting all the rubbish up in different names, and we see so much benefit and beauty in it in the other places? We always need to see, as we say in English, the smoke or the dirt to enjoy the beauty of the flower. And always the most beautiful flowers come out and land in the hand of the people who appreciate it. They appreciate the beauty of it. And the technology is beautiful. We see changes, we see developments in every aspect. And 7 billion is not controlled by one terrorist organization, by one man who's killed many. They tell us it's accusation. We have documentation. I wish I could share the documents about the killing of Fabi. How directly lands in the hand of Reactor. Directly. There is no shadow of a doubt. We are so confident that we'll release it in European Court of Justice. Now you understand why the guy is writing so much rubbish and destroying credit, because he knows he'll join his friend Alan in prison for life, solitary confinement. All this rubbish you see on the internet written by one man is because he knows he's down about to go. And now the governments have realized it. We have to be proud in what we achieved. We have to be proud in what we have brought to humanity. Every single test, every little bit you put up, it saved me from burning the skin in the kitchen, in the patches, which has given me less pain, in the flower, which grows a little bit bigger and much more beautiful. In the energy, I saved a few pieces here and there. All has added together. All has brought the technology to the beautiful position to be. Yesterday, I was with the Keshe Foundation management team in where we are operating, and they asked for achievements and the documentations of the Keshe Foundation. When I sat down and I put things through and it was getting done to go to highest people in the land, I looked at it and I said, oh my God, so much? And we got to the point, it says we can't put so much in anymore. And we are putting too much. But I said, this is all what is certified, tested, documented. And all comes from all of us. When I submit a health application to a government, it's not me, it's the work of Dr. Rodriguez, Claudia, other scientists, other doctors across the world who have put it together. We are putting as one nation, as members of the Keshe Foundation. It's not me submitting a scientific paper. It's Keshe Foundation doctors. The same thing with agriculture. When we present agriculture to the scientists of a nation, as I did in Malta and other countries we are doing, it's beautiful when you stand there, you see the work from Australia and you explain it. You explain the work of Dr. Katwa, you explain the achievement of the Chinese with the cabbage 4 years ago they showed. You look at the achievement of the Mexicans and you have all these things you showed has been carried in the archives of the Keshe Foundation. And we are using it extensively. Because when we speak into groups of government officials and scientists, if it was just me showing a leaf or maybe a tree, it was him. But we present the Keshe Foundation. And in my team, in all the presentations, we make sure, we always say, this comes from Australia, this comes from Mexico, this comes from England, this comes from different places. As one family we present, is not me. And I'm proud of it because it changes the position for all of us. It brings a lot of pride. It gives the sense that they are turning to our way. We haven't turned to their way. I was giving a presentation to a group yesterday, a long table. Two not very interested guys sat on the far end, and we were sitting on the other end, and they start looking. And by about 20 minutes in the presentation, they moved right next to, they didn't want to miss anything. And I thought, that's very strange. Two guys who were not interested, not right in the front. And interestingly, we walked out of the meeting, we had a dinner, and we were told they're going with us. They've accepted it. They've seen the beauty of it. Because I just don't show the agriculture. I show the medical. I show the water cleaning. I show the space work done by the Chinese and by the Americans. He has memorized the nations that this organization doesn't belong to one place. We show to the Chinese, the American, Arizona Research Center. And then we show them the work from Kenya. We show the teachings in Gambia, in Ghana. And then we show them research in Australia, and they're all puzzled. I present you as one nation. And strange enough, governments have accepted it. We don't look at the Italian research, we look at the Keshe Foundation in Italy. We look as Keshe Foundation in Mexico, but they're all the same. We have broken through barriers of nationhood, and I see it in my meetings with officials. They feel the same. In some meetings, you get a sense of why aren't we in it? We would like to be in it because then we can contribute more to it. I sat in Malta a few weeks ago, and you could feel the sense of something is missing. I sat with Italians a few days before that, and I sat with the Chinese, and I sat with the other governments. There is a sense that nations are missing something, and it's so beautiful, they want to be part of it. And what I tell them always is, we are one nation. Depends how you want to do it. You want the Keshe Foundation Chinese to be here, they'll be here. If you want the Maltese, if you want the Italians, but we're all one. It's not a research done in one nation, it's a research done across the planet as one nation. And we have to keep this up. And one of the ways which I see now that we're getting more engaged with governments is because we can show the testimonials, governments are going for it. Because you have tested it. Post, go back to Keshe Foundation, try to change your testimonials to a scientific paper. The Keshe Foundation has a section for this. Is Ella available in the background? Is she in or is she asleep?
Yes, she's back.
Yes, I'm here.
Hi Ella. Ella, can you tell us more how you want this documents as testimonials to be changed, and you have a new person to do it as a scientific paper? Where they have to
Yes.
go, what they have to do, please.
We have a webpage prepared. It's support.keshefoundation.org. And there in the menu, it can be selected Plasma Scientific Journal. Every entry which is submitted through there, it's received by the new person which is going to help. We have already had the meeting with the person and instructed that he should be active also in other groups that, let's say, in the testimonials meetings, in various language groups. So wherever he sees that the person needs help to construct their work in a format of a scientific journal, he will jump in and help. So it's either people come and submit and they start getting answers from there, or we will also go to them and help them. So it's gonna be a very active interaction from Keshe Foundation side.
So in a way, if you get a what do you call it, paper, and you can publish it as a scientific paper, a testimonial.
Yes, it can be a testimonial which will be rewritten in a more elaborate format, so that it includes all the steps that the person went through and all the tools he used, or all the materials that were used in such procedure and so on. So be comprehensive for others to be able to reproduce that, let's say, experience. So the idea of having a scientific paper is for people to be able to read it, to understand it, and to be able to put it in practice.
But not peer review it.
No. There is no peer review. Thank you.
But there is a section where you can make comments, or if you made any additions or tested something with it. On the other hand, the new, what we call patent presentation, you like what we just saw from Mikhail. He's developed something that can be used as a whatever. It can be submitted as a position, discovery, or whatever that somebody else can use, as well as a scientific paper. If you develop something, put it there, and as I said before, please respect each other's right. If you use somebody's paperwork or somebody's inventions, or you think you can do it cheaper than he does, contact him and share it. This way we grow. I saw the problem with the Chinese. As is my usual habit, I go and directly put it on the table, and the Chinese group understood they cannot do this. They cannot copy other people's work, and the work is back to track. It's the same with all of you. You use somebody else's work, you see it, you're inspired by it, and you use part of it. Talk to them, share with them, and let them have it. When we take your inventions or something by the Keshe Foundation, we share it with the rest of the world. We don't take it, because whatever we make, it goes back into the foundation. So you already have shared the knowledge. We at the same time have set up with our factories that even if our workers come up with a new thing, they get benefit by the development of what they developed. This is the beauty with it. And this will break the patent submission. Patent submission very soon should become only for companies to inform the others that we put so much research, please let's share profit, let's share communication and work. And a lot of companies have started doing this because they cannot afford paying each other's patents. So they share the patents, one does something and the other one shares something else with it. That's beautiful. Thank you very much. Is there anything else we need to know?
I think Ella covered it, or is that it from that end?
Yes, I can only say that we are looking forward for people to engage and not to be afraid to experiment and to show what they experimented. So we thank everybody to be there, to take this technology, this knowledge, to learn it, to invest so many hours in it, and to develop on it, because it's not only about learning it, it's also about understanding and developing it further. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there any other questions?
We did have one question that is important to the person that's asking it, so I wanted to make sure it goes through. Bernie did answer, but I'd like to ask it directly. It's from Anuj, who says, how does the free-flowing system like CH3 and hemoglobin interact with the human body to bring it to balance without needing a big dynamic motor health units?
If you don't have a dynamic, even if you have a dynamic system, to be able to interact, you have to introduce. This is what I was explaining to the research which is going on with one of the scientific group. What this means is we got to understand and distinguish, or at least expand the knowledge. If you have, let's say this is your arm and you have a problem here. I don't like narrow pens. If you have your arm and you have a pain here, and you put a dynamic system here and a dynamic system here, they still have to go through this. Expensive way, but it works fast because the transfer of energy is very fast. Because you dynamically literally mix up and take. If you don't have that, it's not a problem, because you again, in the simplest way, you still have the pain here. Make a patch which is 2 times more gans in it on this side than this side. This does the work, but it's slower, it's paced. If you want a rapid and whatever, go 20 to 1. Because all these 20 are trying to bring this guy to the 1, so the transformation or transfer of energy is very rapid. It's very simple. Dynamic systems are different characteristics. The plasma static has different characteristics in field transfer than the dynamic, because it creates a bigger environment. It brings a more absorption and what you call dispersion of the field. Disperse is much easier. That's all. You don't need multi-million systems. Let me see. There's something interesting coming from somewhere. It says the gentleman called Andrew, who is asking this question, currently complained that PBU is too expensive and that KF only serves people with money. If we serve with money, we wouldn't teach it here. Silence is a good thing not to come out. God created mouth to praise, not to come out with rubbish. So, in so many ways, if we are here, you can do it yourself. Don't blame your incompetence on the foundation. We share knowledge really so rapidly that I'm ashamed to see these kind of questions to come up. Yes, we serve with the people with money, that's why we have 100 billion in our bank accounts and people are suffering so much. What a rubbish. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your clarity on that, Mr. Keshe.
This one costs $200. This one costs 20 cents. We're collecting money. Can you please send some? We're short at the moment because we are very expensive. We only serve rich people. I think you should be ashamed to put such a question now.
Well, I think Anuj was trying to do fundraising for the more expensive unit, and apparently wasn't successful enough to do that. So,
Money, if
for
there is,
other options.
if there is a soul to create, it'll come. Whatever we give is not enough. I always remember one word from Dr. Elia Kostova. She always said, how come when it comes to Keshe Foundation, everything has to be free and it has to be given unconditionally? Why don't they put their assets and say, this is mine, I give it unconditionally the way you put? How come all my patents are free? How come all my teachings are free? I charge nothing for it. And there's always, I don't teach enough and I don't do enough. You show me anyone in the history of mankind done such a thing. Shall we?
Can I ask you a question, please?
Yes, Asha.
In some of the past teaching, if we go back, you talk about when in the mother of in the womb, the sperm and egg comes, and then the first initial division, like say about 8 of them, the soul in the middle start to, the feeding happens to the soul itself, because it gets energy from the womb of the mother and feed. And then when you get to the umbilical cord, that the leaching starts to happen. And that's what when we forget how to feed ourselves. So can we go over this, please? Imagine like I've been created, a sperm and egg comes. You're gonna
I
have to.
can't imagine you already been created, you're here.
No, I mean, just as a hypothesis theory, like in
Yeah.
two separate situations. Like one, I'm created, that this division is happening, and there is no umbilical cord. I'll go all the way to the end without any connection to the mother, and I get created just as a soul. I'll come out, and the other way is the umbilical cord. And then there's a third situation that my grandparents were praying for me for 20 years. So what's the difference in the soul in these three situations? First, there's no umbilical cord. I just come out like that. The second one is then the way I came out right now. And the third one, my grandparents prayed for me for 20 years.
In the writing of Baha'u'llah, bless his name, he says, pray for your children 20 years before they are born. And a lot of Baha'is get married at the age of 20, 22. So how many years did they start praying from the womb of the mother? So your grandfather's praying for 22 years, he'll find his destination when the child comes, because he had no destiny. Now the address is created. The other thing with umbilical cord and without, we see that with the chickens. We see that with some animals who don't have that, born out of egg. Because in the structure of the womb, in what we call human beings or any other animal which have this process, we are connected for the fast transfer of growth. In the animals who don't have that, all the growth has been put in a package like an egg in the bird. In the universe, we see many creatures which don't have this, they just get created out of the soul. Man will have a wonderful time to see these things. But when you have an umbilical cord with the mother, is because you have established a source of tank reserve to grow fast. To convert the energies into gans of physical matter condition. And we see this in certain animals, not in all the animals. Those who have and create certain kind of intelligence. And it's just a reserve. Umbilical cord is a connection to a bigger reserve tank.
Because I'm talking about how can we, because your main point then was not to eat anymore. Like we can feed our soul, because that's what.
Put it this way, if you look at the bigger scale, you cannot feed yourself. You change the umbilical cord to the center, your center now becomes the universe. You change it to the invisible line of feeding. There is more in the matter state that it can convert to the matter condition of the plasma of the state you're born as a Gans. But in any process of development and growth, even if you're born without no umbilical cord, there has to be energy to be gathered that becomes you. So where does it come from? It comes from the universal pot. Now, if you don't have a center, you have connected through the fields, through the universal pot. It's not that you just on your own. It doesn't exist. You cannot grow. It's not there to begin with. So you can change dimensions to take from the universal fields. Many cultures in the universe do this. They have passed the physical dimension. It's not something imagined. It's a reality of existence. We tap, and when the two souls are put together to create a dimension, you tap. There is there is a there's a position in the universe where the souls are left till the other souls offer. And you see lights when they do, and the life starts. There is not even a mother, there is not a creation after that leave. It's the position of acceptance. It's like two lights merge. I've been there many times. It's a beautiful place to be in. You see how life creates out of the soul of the universe, not out of the soul of body of existence of entity. So you don't need an umbilical cord.
And another thing you mentioned was your twin soul, that your twin soul has been with you for a million years. And then a lot of us take our physical soul as a twin soul. How could possibly your twin soul be a million years? If you've been here only once, say you're 60 years old, where was your twin soul for a million years?
It's with you. Where is the twin soul of the sun for billions of years? It's there, it's connected to you, it doesn't need to be sitting next to
you. So my twin soul has been around for a million years. I mean,
I don't know, are you a million years old?
no, I mean, so you
You
must.
are a new human race. Let me explain to you something very simple. Human race is created out of the new fields, collection of fields. And with it creates a new soul. You don't have a soul which comes from billions of years ago. You carry part of the soul of the parents who contributed to your existence, which then comes through their souls of their ancestors. But when life created on this planet to start with, is collection of the fields of the universe, the first life. Doesn't come with the soul of anything. It's a condition created that allows that to be created. Whoever speaks of my twin soul comes from, there are, Christ was one of them. In time I explain.
And Mr. Keshe, how do I know that I can connect it to my twin soul or my physical soul? How am I?
You have no choice. You are already connected.
No, I mean, no, I mean, Mr. Keshe, no, I mean, in terms of like communication, like.
Can I ask you something? You're online, Azar. We don't hear much about development of the Iranian Keshe Foundation. You're very closely in touch with them. Would you like to explain to us or tell us what's happening in Iran with the supporters of the Keshe Foundation?
Well, you mean what's going on right now?
Yeah. How is going on? How people are reacting? Any
I mean,
news you have for us?
the information I had, it was the lady who her husband passed away. She's actually translating. I think I think she's becoming a student. She was translating most of the YouTube. She has started actually and she wants to translate the books, but I think the books are in translation. But the good thing about it is she actually created a team there that she's working with them, and apparently, but I don't know how many they are. I just wanted to go and see these people, and then another gentleman has come about that they want to make a documentary, a movie about Keshe Foundation, and then actually about you. And I thought this is a great idea because the Iranian movie makers, they're great, they're very talented. And that would make it, because she feels, I mean, they feel this is actually, that's how people get attracted. And when the movie comes out, they're just going to put it in the public. It just goes to the movie theater. So I think that's all I know for the moment.
We have a recording made by the Italian television about 8 or 10, 12 hours. It's a professional movie made. If they want to do it is in English, we can send it across to them. There is 2 copies of it, I think, in Italy, made for the television channel in Italy.
You mean to make it Farsi?
They can subtitle it, yes.
Okay, that would be wonderful. But I think we shouldn't tell this gentleman not to even do it, because I think when they gonna use their own, because they want to use the books, read the books, and know about you and make a documentary. I think if they use their own essence and their own way of thinking, it might become something that Iranian can connect better, rather than something in other language. We can do both. But I think that's both of them are great.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other news? It's very strange. We were in a meeting a few weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, and we met a lady who wants to make a documentary or a movie on the Keshe Foundation. And I gradually, as I said, things are happening in different ways. People see the beauty of the knowledge. Thank you very much, Azajan. I wish you all the best with your work in Iran, and especially with Dr. Parviz as an Earth Council member who is heavily involved with the situation with the Keshe Foundation supporters in Iran.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Kesh. I'm the one who should thank you, not you thank me.
Thank you very much. Any other information? Shall we call it a day? I think some of the teaching today is very deep. It might not be apparent to some of our knowledge seekers, as is typically taught for very people on the edge of the work and science, and the people who are heavily involved in this technology. As I said, that we thank you all. Without you collective work of past years, we wouldn't be here. As I said many times in past few weeks, as I do many presentations, sometimes 1 or 2 or 3 a week, the more I present the technology as a totality of the Keshe Foundation, the more beauty I see in it, how the simple knowledge has touched so many of them. One of the Keshe Foundation supporters showed me something very interesting, is the writing of what do you call it, Chinese writing from one of their what do you call, the leaders of the Chinese, not Buddhist, but is from, do you want to explain? I'll give it back to the head of the Chinese Keshe Foundation. She's in the meeting room with us, and she'll tell you. What he says is that when somebody offers a new subject, those who understand the knowledge, they practice it. Those who don't understand of the lower standard of understanding the knowledge, they think about it, or they might do it. The ones who don't understand it at all, they laugh at it. And he says, most of my followers are the ones who laugh. It means they don't understand my knowledge. So we have all three within the Keshe Foundation. And usually those who laugh at it are the ones that when they understand it, they devote their life to it. And it's very interesting how the knowledge comes to be shared, and how we respect each other in that process, and how we as some of us, some of our scientists and some of our what we call scholars give a lot of ways of thinking.
Hello, Mr. Keshe. Scholars and ways of
Hello,
thinking.
can you hear me? Am I back?
Scholars and ways of thinking was the last word you said.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello? Yeah, scholars and ways of
I
thinking.
read you. Yes, okay. I read you. Yes, yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, there's a bit
Hello?
of a lag, but it's okay. Yes, go ahead.
Yes, okay. I'll read you a scholar's writing, which I think is very nice. It's a novelist from Britain called William Golding. Can you hear me now?
Yep, go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Mr. Keshe. I don't think you can hear me. Hello?
Yep, okay. The novel is called William Golding. I can hear you clearly. I can hear you clearly.
It's just huge delay, Mr. Keshe.
William Golding has written a very beautiful. Pardon? Hello?
There's a delay, Mr. Keshe. That's why we're having trouble communicating, but we can hear you clearly, so go ahead.
Okay, no problem. As I said, I'll finish with this because I think it's beautiful what the way it's written. I changed a couple of words because it cannot be explained, it cannot be said on the teaching. William Golding says, I think women are foolish to pretend they are equal to men. I think women are foolish to pretend they are equal to men. They are far superior and always have been. Whatever you give a woman, she will make it greater. If you give her a sperm, she will give you a body and life. If you give her a house, she will give you a home. If you give her grocery, she will give you a meal. If you give her a smile, she will give you her heart. She multiplies and enlarges what is given to her. So, if you give her any, what I call rubbish, be ready to receive a ton of it, more rubbish. So, in so many ways, this is one of the reasons I always say I leave the realm of Keshe Foundation in the hand of women, because they know how to make it multiply and grow and touch the soul of man. Thank you very much for today. And hopefully we'll see each other next week.
Beautiful, Mr. Keshe. Thank you. Okay, this will wrap up today's 241st Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, September 13th, 2018. Thank you, everybody, for attending, participating, and otherwise interacting with our program. I think we'll have Flint take us out, and we'll see you next week.
Hello. We are the Keshe Foundation. Our mission is to bring peace on Earth and join humanity with the universal community. We wish and work to bring man as equal to all beings in the universe. By teaching plasma science and technology equally to everyone, no one is left out and no one is abused due to lack of knowledge. By donating to us, you can help achieve this goal. keshefoundation.org/donate.
Plasma products found at keshefoundation.org/store. Soothing, reusable plasma eye and migraine mask. Eliminate eye fatigue and relieve stress in eye area. European certified medical device. Massaging plasma insoles. Bring comfort back to your feet and energize your legs. European CE certified medical device. Antiseptic plasma liquid hand soap. Promotes well-being and relaxation with protective plasma formula. CE certified. One Soul Plasma T-shirt. GAN's formula within the symbols and stripes brings mind, soul, and body into balance. European certified. Pain Relief Pen. Emits a concentrated plasma field at point of pain, efficient up to 3 centimeters below the skin. CE certified. The Magrav's Energizer and Alkalizer raises pH and energizes water through magnetic and gravitational fields. CE certified medical device. Pain Relief Pad, a result of years of research in nanoplasma technology with magnetic and gravitational fields. CE certified medical device. Visit the online store at keshefoundation.org/store or find a distributor near you. Tax and shipping not included.